What the hell is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. How the hell are you doing? So we are back into the returning player's guide. Now, up to this point, I have covered basic basic setups, trying to stay away from incarnates for the most part. And we are going to change that up just a little bit, and I'm going to explain why, but this is going to come into a different video upcoming. What we're going to talk about right now is some new mission types that some returning players may not have been dealing with. Okay, and some older missions that have caused problems for some people that are just like, fuck, I hate this goddamn mission. And I actually smacked my damn camera when I started this. Like, just before I hit record, I went and hit the fucking thing. So one of the new mission types that a lot of people really don't like doing, one of which is because the grind behind it to get the frame that comes from it just makes you just want to do Harry Carry. And the other part of it is it's just long, and there is nothing you can do to progress the missions faster. And that is mirror defenses. So Tiana Pass, and then I believe it's Munyo, I want to say. Yeah, Munyo. So these are the only two mirror defense missions. Now, the Sanctum one, in my opinion, is honestly the way easier version. Even Steel Path, even higher level, it's still insanely easier. Because it is a much more compact map, and you basically have to jump around and collect floating, murmur glyphs. To where the Tiana Pass one is, they are bigger maps, even though they probably aren't relatively bigger. The area that you have to cover in order to collect the little mineral crystal things, in order to force the defense objective to heal itself. That's the big hiccup with mirror defense, is that the defensive objectives don't heal themselves. So the only way to do it is to collect the item in question, whether it's with Tiana Pass and the little crystals, or with, excuse me, or with, in the case of Munyo, you have to collect these little void glyphs. What that does is you collect 50 of them and it automatically starts healing itself, plus it puts up its own defenses to help keep enemies, to basically assist you with the mission. The problem behind both mirror defenses is that it is two defense missions in succession with each other for one rotation. Each mirror defense, each side of the mirror defense is 2.5 minutes long. Okay, so you're talking 5 minutes for one goddamn rotation. That's ridiculous. We're talking 20 fucking minutes. It's actually more around 25 minutes in between, or it's about 22.5 minutes for the passer, because there's about a 30-second delay before the next part of the second part of the mirror defense starts. And so, like with Munyo, you're trying to farm the Grimoire mods. Okay, Tiana Pass, you're trying to farm the Stephalos, you're trying to farm the Chlorophyll, and you're trying to farm Citrine. And the drop table for that, and the amount that it costs is so bad. Is Citrine very well worth getting? Yes. Is the Chlorophyll worth getting? Yes. Even the Stephalos does have its uses. So, albeit it's a more funky shotgun in the game. So it is an unfortunate slog of a mission that you just kind of have to fucking deal with. So yeah, but the base premise is go in and you want to wholeheartedly defend the shit out of the crowd, out of any of the enemies, out of any of the ads that come in and try to kill everything. That is the big thing that you want to do, is try to stop that shit, because it doesn't heal itself. Specifically, a frame that I find to be high functioning for this particular mission is Kalervo. Now, yes, this does mean that you need to have the Deviri Paradox cleared or Plat Biome, whichever is your choice. And using a defensive build that I have for Kalervo, that is not what I was trying to do. Specifically, these are basically, strength. Hold on here. I've kind of gone over some of this. Strength, duration. And this is specifically a Nourish Storm of Uko build. But it's got a pretty decent amount of range, so it covers, like I say pretty decent. It's almost max range. But this particular build absolutely controls the shit out of a defensive area to where the enemies are weakened horribly by the time they get to the mirror defense objective. giving you time to basically just make sure your overguard is maintained for survival, and then just killing the enemies with whatever weapons that you have. Even if an acolyte shows up, as long as you have a good melee, and the ceramic dagger incarnate is not it's not necessary. You can use the Broken War. You can use the Nami Solo. Again, though, we're talking an incarnate. Use the base, not so much. So if we want to go for no incarnates, Broken War, another specifically good one actually is the Azethane. Again, you'll need to vary, but considering we're talking about Kalervo, that's really not that big of an ask. Those two specifically, the Azethane and the Broken War, are really your two best backups, but I mean, you can use whatever melee you've got built really well, because Kalervo's first ability basically just absolutely is a level of shock and awe depending on how you have him built. If you go with this build, pretty much one taps an acolyte. So if an acolyte does show up, or if a really tanky Eximus or just some pain in the ass enemy shows up, you can literally just target them with the first ability and they will cease to exist. So this is pretty much the simple approach to a mirror defense. Just Kalervo. And if you don't like Kalervo, if you don't like maintaining overguard or anything like that, you can use Hildryn. Honestly, Hildryn's a pretty funny one to use with her Balefire. Oh, that's no, that was so. I remember what I was doing. The Aegis Gale augment. So you're actually focusing into using her fourth ability, which actually comes out to be pretty damn funny, because you're building to take less damage. Okay, you have Arcane Aegis, which, you know, again, a lot of players have done farming up to this point. Eidolons, you know, if you haven't done Eidolon hunting, don't beat yourself up, okay? Your whole goal is to get as many useless arcanes as you can possibly get, and there is no such thing as a really useless arcane, but basically extras that you're not trying to sell. So if you're acolyte farming, which is something that we're going to talk about, okay? Because, and we're going to do that in this mission. Like, I'm going to show you a very easy way to do this, and you can do this with the base version of the frame I'm going to show you. It is time consuming and it is fucking boring, but it is absolutely functional. But this is another way to work a mirror defense, to basically anything that gets close to the fucking objective, you just lift them the fuck up. As long as they don't have overguard, you will lift them the fuck up. And if they do have overguard, you shoot them with a Balefire Charger built specifically with gas and electricity, and it's just going to wreck the fuck out of everything that gets near it. And it doesn't matter what faction it is, they're just going to fucking die. So it's a pretty damn functional way to approach mirror defenses. Hildryn, you know, but I mean, again, this could be, you know, Mirage throwing the disco ball everywhere. This could be Mag just picking people up and just smashing the shit out of them. This could be a tank frame. The problem is like something like Wisp, for example. Wisp does a diminished amount of healing on defense objectives, doesn't work on mirror defenses. So that particular game plan is out. Citrine, if you already have her from Tiana Pass, actually works pretty damn well against if you're doing Munyo, because you can just throw the crystal right over top of the damn defense objective, and then the crystal starts attacking shit in between the times that you make it heal itself. So there's a lot of good options. Hell, you can use Caliban. Caliban does a lot of aggroing enemies towards the sentients rather than what the fuck they're supposed to be shooting at, so that's a good idea. Or you can just go for generally killing everything with Saren. I mean, there's, you know, you can use Octavia. There's a lot of good options here. So it's really a personal preference, but you got to remember that the defensive point is a big fucking problem, because it just does not heal itself, okay, until you collect all the extra crap. So other new missions, and again, we're gonna talk about Kalervo. My God, we're gonna talk about Kalervo with a few mission types, because honestly, it works very fucking well. So we're gonna talk about, you know, not the exterminate, not the survival. We're going to talk about alchemy. Now, this is another place where that exact same Kalervo build actually works really fucking well. Because, again, you're making a giant ring of slash procs, and albeit slash isn't the primary damage that you want to use against Murmur, the amount of ability, strength, and range that I have into this particular build just absolutely wrecks the fuck out of enemies. So even if it doesn't kill them, it fucks them up really well. So, and all you have to do is basically, again, maintain your overguard, keep Storm of Vuko going, keep Nourish going, life is good. And then just collect the little ampules, chuck them at the damn thing, and then make sure you shoot the vents within the little window, and you're fine. So, alchemy, not a big deal. It's really not. You know, we just talked about Munyo. The assassination, the 30-eye boss. I mean, that one... The 30-eye, the Afurvo boss, okay? You gotta understand that that fight is the epitome of not damage attenuation, not damage absorption. Okay, it's literally it's. I mean, I've heard people refer to it as it being a timer, and that for the most part is probably the most accurate description you can put to it. But it has weak points, you know, so if you are using incarnate weapons, those glowing weak points count as weak point headshot kind of things, and it'll charge your incarnate weapons. If you're not using incarnate weapons, basically you just need to constantly keep dealing damage to it, and it'll slowly whittle that motherfucker down. It's a whole bunch of parkour. It's 3 stages of parkour, collecting a bunch of void eyeballs, and then you got to go fight a boss. So you just need to go in tanky and take some pretty powerful weapons of whatever your choosing is, and just go kill the fucking thing. It seems crazy, and you may fail a couple of times, but something like Nezha, something like Revenant, hell, something like Octavia, funny enough, Octavia, as long as you don't sit there in the direct damage path of the boss, actually works really well. Something like that does work pretty fucking good. Another 2 new ones, which are literally the same goddamn mission. They are just different in level. Conjunction survivals. Now, these are just basically survivals, but they have a shit ton of Drachmasters. So the dog create and pricks that steal your guns. And then they also have Luathrax on them, which is how you farm Varuna. Now, Luathrax, whenever these pricks spawn, they start just sapping the shit out of the life support in the mission. So it does become problematic if you don't have like a well-built amp. So like a 717 or a 777 amp. Something to that sort is definitely recommended, so you can very quickly dispatch the fucking Thrax. As long as you do that, these are not difficult missions. I mean, it shows 180 to 200. It's really not that bad. They're really not that bad. Just a good solid frame that you trust, some good solid weapons. It's solely, like basically corrupted Grineer or Grineer base, except for the Thrax. So they're just higher level. That's it. Don't trip at it. Don't freak out, because it says Orokin, so they are corrupted. But they're really, it sounds crazy. It's literally just the Thrax you have to focus on, and especially if you're doing it solo, there's so many less. There's only I think 3 that spawn when you're solo, so it's not a big deal. Places of more interesting note. So again, the War Within came out a while ago, so the Kuva Fortress should be no surprise to anybody. Something like the Zariman. Now, the Zariman has 3 very, very specific missions to it. It's got 2 normal fucking missions. So you've got a mobile defense over here, okay? It just is what it is. It's a normal defense, or it's a normal mobile defense that has Thrax that show up every single... It has at least 3 Thrax that show up every single time you go to one of the mobile defense terminals. Again, you just need to be able to kill them. That's it. You just need a good amp. You need a good weapon to take down their overguard, take them down, put them into their ghost form, and then hit them with the amp and they die. Okay, and then you have Helico Perimeter, which is an exterminate. Now, that's where things are normal. Where things are not normal. Void Flood. Titania. Okay, literally just take Titania and fly the fuck around, pick up the Vitoplast, and then pop into your operator, keep your Titania way up in the fucking ceiling, pop into your operator and just go into void mode and feed the little void gates. Okay, that's it. At the end of each rotational cycle, a Thrax will come running in, because this is an endless mission type, and you just kill the Thrax and move on, and the Thrax do multiply the further into the mission that you go. But Titania 100% is the easiest way to just clear this mission. Beyond that, yes, there is things that you can gain. There are drops that you can gain. There are arcanes that you can get from the Thrax themselves. But again, this is one of those, if you're just trying to clear the fucking node and move the fuck on, the Titania is going to be your easiest route to do this. Wukong will do it too, but Titania is a little bit more controlled. Then you have Tuval Commons. Now, we're going to come back to this one in another video. Tuval Commons is a void cascade. So these use exolizers. So you basically have to go in and, with your operator and an amp, shoot a little post with a Thrax that's trapped in it, that's possessed it. And as soon as that Thrax comes out, you have to pop right back into your frame, because you cannot use your frame while you're taking out this post. So the general approach that I use when I'm wanting to play some higher content is to use something like Magus Lockdown to keep at least a few couple of enemies that are near that tower locked down for a moment. Magus Lockdown, Void Dash, blocks the enemies in place, shoot the little post, get the Thrax unlocked. That way you can use your frame. and then immediately transfer it back in your frame, take the Thrax out, and then you kill the enemies in the glowing gold area. You do not kill them outside of the area because you want the mission to progress very quickly. We'll come back to that. It's a fun mission type. Okay, it's a very, very, very fun mission type. And then we have not the Greenway, we have Auraworks. Now, this is my least favorite of all of the 3 new Zariman missions. Void Armageddon. Void Armageddon is 3 defenses, and then you have to fight a Void Angel. So you have to defend your exo dampers, and you can build little weapons to help kind of, control the area if you want to. You can also go in with that Clervo build that actually works just fine. And then thankfully, this isn't like awakening an angel. This is just a 2-stage fight instead of a 3, because if you awaken an angel anywhere else in the Zariman, it'll be a 3-stage fight. This one is only 2. So you only have to do the void battle once. But again, need a pretty decent amp, you need a pretty decent void setup, or a pretty decent operator setup, or drifter, whatever your preference is. Let's see, is there any other new shit? As far as mission types, that's pretty much the new missions. Now, specifically, I have kind of just a fallback operator setup that I use. Okay? Now, the operator setup that I use for focus is I'm using Xeneric. Okay? Which, if you're fighting like Steel Path level, Void Angels, not so much. They have weakened them up over time, but if you're doing like endless missions, the bitch is going to get stronger. So, doing something like potentially Matter Eye is actually better, and the primary reason behind that is because of Void Strike. So you basically just consume all your fucking energy and you get 8 seconds of a shit ton more damage. Okay, and then Contamination Wave, so you can actually just, for example, when you're doing the Void Cascade, you can actually use Contamination Wave to take out the much higher level fucking Thrax that you're going to run into if you're trying to go up into higher level content. So basically, you just blast a Thrax a couple of times with Contamination Wave, hit them with the amp, and they fucking die. Or at least get knocked into their... Well, no, that's once they're in ghost form. But yeah, so Matter is a really, really, really good option on the Steel Path side of things. But the overall equipment setup is I'm using the one that I call the Ripfire. This is a 717. Okay. What that specifically means is, my God, where is Ripfire? Here we go. So the Ripfire is the Kimura Prism, the Certus Brace, and the FOD Scaffold. Now the reason for not doing a 777 is that the FOD throws a void disc that creates a void bubble around the enemies, and then every bit of void damage that you throw at the enemy gets sucked in kind of like mags magnetized, and it just constantly hits the enemy until they die. And it will bounce from one enemy to another doing this shit. So the void disc is like, it's a good time. This specific amp setup is good. The downside is, funny enough, if you're going after the higher leveled Void Angels, something like a base 111. This isn't a 111. This is a 171 or a 7711. Sorry, no, it's Prism first. So it's a 171. So basically higher capacity, Raplock Prism, but the Pancake Scaffold. This works very well against Void Angels, Eidolons, and so on. And again, we will get into Eidolons at another point. But the big thing that you want is you want Arcanes. Obviously, you want Steel Essence, because getting Steel Essence is a big, big, big fucking deal. Okay? Steel Essence is a huge point of weekly gaining easy Kuva, and we're talking a fuck ton of Kuva in a good amount. And then also getting, Riven ciphers. So if you get the really problematic Rivens that just piss you off, you can get a Riven cipher once a week from Teshin. Plus, once a week, Teshin has something extra for sale, whether it's a shotgun or whether it's a specific Riven, a specific weapon type Riven. It could be Endo, it could be extra Kuva, it could be a Umbra Forma. I mean, these are all good, really, really, really good reasons to farm a good amount of excuse me, of steel essence. Primarily,
New alert marked on navigation, Tenno.
primarily though, I farm it for the basis of the arcanes. The steel essence is great because I can do my weekly things, but I farm it for arcanes. Now, I suggest a specific mission with a specific frame, okay? And you're going to see no incarnates, okay? I set this up previously. I can run Octavia's base kit, but honestly, I like running Nourish just because I can. The build for this Octavia is the same fucking build that I've been running for a hot damn minute, and this fucking build will carry your ass quite a ways. This is definitely a build that you can absolutely take the level cap as long as you just, you know, play with a little bit of security as far as like not putting yourself in danger. But there is like a lot of shit that goes to it. Specifically, the Manticord is one thing. The shards are something a little different. Like I still need to bump this back up because I actually took this off for a while. But duration, strength, you know, so like one duration shard, couple of good strength shards, and then shield capacity, specifically because you're going to be building up shield capacity with your ability casts, thanks to having one augur mod on here. Okay, so just one augur mod, 40% energy spent on abilities is converted to shields, and that is one way of survivability with her. The only thing that will really get to her is toxin procs or you just jumping into the line of fire bullets. The Manticord is a pure min-max Manticord, okay? So what this specifically is basically filling every fucking space with a note. Now, you can just go all the way across the board and just do a really monotone fucking sound. Personally, I just stair-stepped. I want to say this, I saw this from Brozyme, if I remember correctly. This was back when I was first trying to figure Octavia out. And he had put a video out on her. So, because it was like I was kind of lost, you know, like you can do whatever you want to with the Manticord, but this is the ultimate min-max because this makes this very easy to not have to chase shit. So with something in every single note path, whatever you're trying to do is going to work very well, and it's going to cause a bunch of noise to basically trigger enemies and make them come to you. Now, because I have Nourish subsumed on her, the blue doesn't even matter. It's simply the gray and the whatever fucking pink, purple, whatever the hell color you want to call that. So basically, simply the metronome and the mallet. That's all we care about. Okay. But this is a very, very functional, very simple Manticord setup. Okay. And we're going to go for a little 5-minute or maybe just a touch over little acolyte farm to probably one of the easiest fucking missions that you're going to come across. And it's at Venus on the Steel Path. Now, there are 2 reasons why I recommend this. 1, it's against meat bags, which infested. For 2, it's very early in the Steel Path. So if you are a returning player and you really just are touching into the Steel Path, sorry, I just hit my fucking mic stand there. Like, you're obviously going to start the Steel Path on Earth. So your general goal is to get, you know, Mariana, you know, so E Prime, Mariana, Mantle, Lith, Cambria, done. Okay? And then you're going to move your ass through E-Gate, Tessera, Linnea, Ishtar, and then straight to Malva. You don't have to go any further until you're ready. Swear to God. That's all you have to do. Not very many missions on the Steel Path, and it will get you to basically the easiest fucking acolyte farm in this goddamn game. And the only thing that you have to do is make sure that you don't take a toxin proc. And I know that sounds crazy, right? Oh, you're going to get infested. They're the kings of toxin. Yep. Just saying, we're going to do this real quick, and then this will be the end of this video, and then we're going to get into a whole other thing that people talk about a lot that is honestly fucking dead. Now, because I'm being impatient, we're just going to use Nourish coupled with, you know, a bougie pad. And we're just going to make this happen. Now, survivals are a little problematic. Anybody who played years ago is going to understand that survivals used to be like the easiest way to go. So you cast your 2 really quick, start your invisibility timer. We're just going to equip our melee. So it used to be, it's like they changed the drop rate. Oh, of course it's this fucking spot. Okay. So anyway, it's like they changed the life support drop rate. So, Octavia, as far as doing survivability, is very simple. Keep the fucking mallet away from you. This is all you have to do. Just keep the thing at a distance and watch the insanity ensue. Now, this particular location is not so fun.
The Juggernaut has moved on. It's safe to proceed.
Just because there is a couple of levels here, so some of the life support, drops could end up on a different level. Like, they could end up below you and shit. So what we're witnessing here, for anybody who's never played Octavia, what we're witnessing here is basically sound, and then the enemy's own attacks they're basically kicking their own ass. So this little timer right here, by the way, fuck out of here. This little timer right here is your invisibility from the metronome. So basically, when you spam crouch, when that resets to the max of its timer, bingo bongo, we're good to go. So, your primary points of concern as far as enemies here are ancient disruptors now, because they've just reworked them and now they have this big swinging electric fucking arm thing that they do. And then the venomous Eximus, because they have the big toxin aura that do 300 toxin a second, which is a problem. And then bioelectric Eximus, the ones that do the shocky ball little thing. Those motherfuckers will rip your shields off and make you want to really, really hate your life. And all you gotta do is just basically stand here and just let sound kick the fuck out of him. So like this big guy, he's swinging his arm around, he's very mad. You don't want to be close to him. Now again, this is a very, very, very boring way to do this. This is most certainly not everybody's cup of tea. And all we're primarily using is the 1, 2, and the 4. You can use the 3 if you're actually openly attacking enemies, which is fine. Yeah, I keep forgetting to change the color on my Smita. Ooh, see, I say stay away from that guy, and what do? I get close to his stupid ass. Right here, guys. While they're busy kicking the fuck out of themselves, over here and collect this life support pod really quick, and then we'll go back to the party. Like I said, this is not the ideal location because they will occasionally drop life support pods way the fuck down there, or like over here underneath you. The fucking things will just spawn up underneath you like that. Now the reason for Octavia, now you can do this with any frame. As long as you feel comfortable enough, you can do this with any damn frame you want to use. So don't feel like, oh my god, he's saying Octavia is the best. No. Octavia is the easiest. Albeit very boring and very methodically, Octavia is hands down the best at doing this, and the reason being is because of the buffs that she gets from her 3, coupled with the fact that you are highly survivable as long as you are unseen. As long as you just don't do the incredibly stupid of walking in front of an Eximus that will fuck your day up, or an ancient disruptor or something, it's really not going to be a problem. Because, like, you get a melee buff, you get multi-shot buff, you get a lot of really, really good buffs. There's a lot of upside to Octavia, and the biggest downside is honestly the sluggish gameplay. It's just an unfortunate truth. So we're casting the first ability to make the thumpy, thumpy, thumpy sound, and then the singing that you hear is the 4th ability, and it's the amp. So basically it extends the range and increases the damage multiplier that these idiots are doing to themselves. So we basically just sit here and wait for an acolyte to show up. And you can sit here for fucking hours on end, as long as you keep the life support up, you can sit here for hours on fucking end and just let them kick the fuck out of themselves. Now, is this insanely fun? Not always, no. So, here we go. Now we have an acolyte coming. We'll just go ahead and spam crouch really quick, and I'm still set on my melee. So we'll back away from that party, let them kick the fuck out of themselves, and... oh, of course, that fuckhead showed up underneath me. Well, come on, big boy. Leave by. 1 hit. And yes, I'm running the Glaive Prime. I could do that with a Serrata. I could do that with almost anything I want to. The melee, like, I use Glaive specifically because they get a really insane buff. Now, I'm going to go to the next spot here. Like, this spot sucks too. God damn it. It's like basically you just want to stay, you don't want to go too high. That's one big thing, is if you go too high in elevation, the enemies won't attack. They'll just stand around like idiots because you're above where where their normal line of attack would be.
When you need it, extraction is ready.
Like, if there's a box that you can stand on, that's the perfect level of elevation. But you do not want it to be in a path where the enemies will be coming from. So, like, just for example, like this spot is actually a great fucking spot. It's like, basically, you drop your little... Here, just fuck out of the way. So, you drop your little resonator here, or your mallet, and then you drop your amp right there, and watch this. You can stand right here, you're not in the path of any enemies that are going to run by, and they will literally just kick the fuck out of themselves. Oh, I've got to change that color. You don't want to worry about that stupid camera. Make it... Wow. Bruh. Thank you. Not that hard to maintain. Not saying it's insanely fun. And yes, Arctic Eximus. See, look, there's a Venomous Eximus. You stay away from that, dude. Go away. Yeah, I've done hours of farming with this frame, just when I've been, like, really low on Steel Essence. Like, whenever I go out of town and I haven't played for, like, a week, and then I have to come back and replenish my stores, basically. Yeah. I'll just come in for like 2-3 hours. Just build up my, you know, because obviously I'm running a booster. That is one thing that I always do, is I always run a resource booster because I don't like being low on resources. And, you know, usually I trade for my plat. Like, the amount of plat that I have right now is because of the Lavos Prime Access, which I have said for a long time that I would buy. But yeah, I mean, like, this is playing with Octavia. Stay away from a couple Eximus, and this... Well, not that big fuckhead. Where is he? Thought I saw one. Yeah. I mean, this is... There he is, right there. This asshole. Yeah, that's the asshole you don't want to be around. It's just really that simple. This is a long, sluggish way of doing it, but 100% very easy. If you don't like that playstyle, take whatever fuck frame you want to. It's still low level. You can run it for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the enemies are only going to be like level 300, and they're meat bags, so they're very fucking easy. And the Acolyte's only going to be 20 levels higher than whatever the highest level enemy that you run into. So, I'm telling you, like, you can run the shit out of Malva. It's very easy. You can get your Steel Essence, get an Arcane, and after a while, that'll come into the next video as to why the level of importance comes into play with this, okay? So, that's simple Acolyte farming and a couple of problematic missions. Now, I will point out a postscript here. There is one particular mission a lot of people do not like doing, and I do have a video out there. Let's see where the fuck I have that motherfucker. Playlists. I think it's in tutorials. Let me look. Then the Ropa mastery tests, Archon fights. Oh god, they have our Archon. God help me. Basically, and this is gonna sound really, really nuts, but oh yeah, got Warframe tutorials. I don't know why those are mixed up like that. That's really annoying. Let's see here. Mirror defense, solo interception, disruption, excavation, assassination mission setups, which, you know. Casual. Okay. Sorry. I've got a video floating around there for a Lewis spy. Okay. Which one is that? This one. So Pavlov. I'm going to tell you right now, the easiest frame, and a lot of people, this fucker is an albatross. And rightly so for a lot of ways. But there is some insanely good usage for Limbo. Okay? But whether it's base Limbo or Limbo Prime. The specific way of doing it is going about it and putting silence on him so none of the Eximus can fuck with you. But as long as Limbo is in his rift, almost all of the security measures on the Lewis spy cannot see him. So you just walk right through all the beams and everything. The only thing that can see Limbo is either if he's not in his rift or if there's an actual drone. Drones you stay the fuck away from. But all of the other security measures cannot see Limbo at all. Limbo is completely invisible to all of the other security. It makes him exceptionally good for this mission. Probably the best frame for this mission. And then, your usual build for Limbo is a lot of range and a lot of fucking duration. You put Silence on him and the Eximus, by the time they actually recover from being stunned, they're not going to do anything because you're already going to be gone. You just basically fly through the mission, get the fuck out of it. So that's some problematic and newer missions, okay? So the next one, we're going to talk about Eidolons. So folks, thanks very much for watching. As always, catch you in the next one, all right?